Welcome to Countats. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at membership fees. We're going to look at what membership fees is and how to do the membership fees tier account or the general ledger account. But first, what is membership fees? Well, membership fees is the amount charged to members of an entity in exchange for the enjoyment of certain benefits. And usually, this entity that we're talking about is a non-profit organization where it does not operate for the sake of profit, just like a company would, or a CC or a sole trader would. And so, what do we mean by a non-profit organization? Well, a non-profit organization can be defined as an economic entity which has the legitimate goal of furthering certain interests of the community. Its objective is not to distribute profits to the members, but to use the profits in order to achieve the stated goal. So when we are dealing with a non-profit organization, we'll be dealing with it differently than we would a company or a partnership or any other entity really that is for profit. Such an entity is oriented to render a service to its members and not to pursue financial gain. And so how does a non-profit organization get its money or its funding? Well, revenue may be acquired from a variety of sources such as membership fees, donations, fundraising projects, bequests, and even government subsidies. Membership and not ownership is acquired through the payment of membership fees. So whenever you're dealing with an organization that charges membership fees, such as a golf club or a Rotary club or whatever the case may be, then most of its funding would be coming from membership fees, of course, in addition to the other sources of funding we've just mentioned. Now, it's important for us to understand we're dealing with a non-profit organization here. We're not dealing with the company. And so many students usually struggle with that because they're looking for terms which relate to a company. For instance, the income tax which has been paid, the revenue, the cost of sale, and all that. But here we're dealing with a non-profit organization. So how we deal with it is different from how we deal with the other entities that I've just mentioned. Now, let's look at an example of doing the membership fees T account or the general ledger account, and that is what we're going to focus on in this lesson and not necessarily the income and expenditure statement. That one we do in the other lesson. You will find the link to that lesson in the description below. So here's an example that we are given. We're told here that the information given below was extracted from the books of Pokot Golf Club. And what is the required? Well, we read the title and then we go to the required so that we can make sense of what they want us to do before we can look at all the information that we're given. We're asked to prepare and close off the membership fees account in the general ledger on the 28th of February 2023. And we're going to do just that. Now, before we get into it and before we go into this information, I want to say that if you're not familiar with how to do the membership fees T account or the general ledger account and how to close it off, there are other lessons that would be good for you to understand before you understand this one here, or you've been struggling with doing the membership fees account, or you're not understanding why we're putting amounts where we're putting them. It would help you to look at the other lessons before looking at this one here. And there are two lessons specifically that I'm referring to. One is one on accruals, where we explain what accruals are and how to deal with the different types of accruals. And when you're dealing with membership fees, you're looking at accruals a lot. So it's good if you understand what accruals are and how we treat them in our books. And the second lesson I would refer you to is the lesson on how to do T accounts, what general ledger is, and why we put amounts where we put them either on the debit or credit side. And so those two lessons that I've alluded to, you'll find them in the links in the description below for your convenience. So if you don't understand this, if you don't understand what accruals are, if you don't know how to do a T account, those are the lessons you'd want to begin with. And then you can come back to this lesson and see how we do the membership fees T account. So let's get into it. What is the first thing that we're going to do? Well, we're going to draw our T account and call it membership fees. So let's do just that. Here we have it. Membership fees, obviously debit on the left side, credit on the right side. And so where do we begin? What is very important is to look at the titles of the sections we are given. The first part of the information we are given is balances at the 1st of March 2022. Now remember, we're asked to prepare and close off the membership fees account as at or on 28th February 2023. And so that means we're preparing the membership fees for the financial period, which began on the 1st of March 2022 to the 28th of February 2023. So basically what I'm asking myself is, what were my opening balances. And here we're told these are the balances as at the 1st of March 2022. So I already know that is my opening balance because that is when the financial period or financial year began. And that is very important. One of the weaknesses you may have or you might be tempted to have is to overlook the small details that you are given. I mean, dates are extremely important in accounting, as you would know if you have looked at many of our lessons. And so we have our opening balances here. It's important for us to capture that these are our opening balances at the beginning of the financial period. And we're also given additional information and adjustments down here in white. And you can see here on top we are told statement of receipt and payment at 28th February 2023. So what do I know here? I know this is money that came in where it's written receipts and money that went out where it's written payments. Right now, what we're trying to figure out when you're doing the membership fees is basically one thing: how much are the membership fees that we earned in this particular financial period? Very important. And that's why I said you need to check out accruals and see how does that affect income that has been earned. And so notice I used the word earned and not the word received, because those may be two different things, right? What we earned for the financial period is not necessarily what we received in this financial period. In fact, I will go ahead and say when you're dealing with membership fees and you're asked to do the T account for membership fees, you will know already that the money that you received is not necessarily all the money that you earned for the financial year. So what we earned is basically how much we are due to receive, or how much is due to us, or how much belongs to us, even if we have not received it as yet for this financial period. Basically, how many members did we charge for membership fees in this financial period? That is what we want to calculate. If you're given that answer, of course, then you don't have to do the T account and close it off. But the reason we have to prepare and close it off, we want to see how much did we make specifically from membership fees. That's another thing to mention, that when you are doing the membership fees T account, you're not looking at any other item. We're given a lot of information here. We're only looking at what affects our membership fees. So what is the first thing that we are going to do? The first thing that we are going to do is to see how much money was paid to us in the previous financial period that is for this financial period. Remember, there are people who might pay in advance to say, for the next financial period, I'm paying this as my membership fees. How much do we receive? And what would we call that, by the way? If you know accruals, you would know that it's called income received in advance. So my question is, how much did I receive last financial period, which ended on the 28th of February 2022? That is for this particular period. Well, if I see a line item called income received in advance, and that is my opening balance item, then I will know that money is for the membership fees for this financial year. So let's look at the information that we're given. We already know where our opening balances are because we're told here balances at the 1st of March 2022. So everything in purple is our opening balance. Now let's look for income received in advance. And I'm sure you can see it down here, income received in advance. It has to specifically relate to membership fees. And that is why you can see in brackets it's written membership fees. How much is that? That is 7,500 Rand. Now I know in the previous financial year, there are members who paid 7,500 Rand for this financial year. So they paid in advance so that they can enjoy the benefits in this financial year. And so if you've looked at our lesson on accruals, or you know accruals, you know what income received in advance is. This is money that has been paid before we provide the service. But remember, it was paid last financial period. That is why it's an opening balance for this financial period. And so that means that is the first amount I'm going to put down as the money that is due to me. So all the money that we are going to earn, or all the money that we have earned for this financial period, we're going to put it on the credit side so that we can calculate how much it is. So the first thing I'm going to put is the 1st of March 2022. That is my opening balance, and I'm going to put income received in advance 7,500. So you can see here clearly the first thing that you need to do when you're doing membership fees is look for your income received in advance at the beginning of our financial period, the financial period that we are asked to prepare and close off the membership fees account for. So we know this is money that we have likely earned in this particular financial period, which we had received last year by members who paid in advance. The second thing that we're going to do is to look at those who owed us at the end of the last financial period or at the beginning of this financial period. Remember, the end of the last financial period is 28th February 2022, and the beginning of this financial period is the 1st of March 2022. So if I say the end of the last financial period and the beginning of this financial period, I basically mean the same thing. So the members to whom we provided the service last financial period, or the members who enjoyed the benefits of this club in the last financial period and didn't pay us, what would we call those amounts? Or what would you call that amount? Well, we would call it accrued income, right? Income that was due to be paid to us but were not paid by the members. Alright, so what are we going to do with that amount? We're going to put it on the debit side. So we look at what amount were we owed from last year. We look at accrued income at the beginning of this financial year, very important, and it has to specifically relate to membership fees. So you can see here on top we have accrued income, membership fees, 4,400. So we're going to put it on the debit side. Why are we putting it on the debit side? Because we want to isolate what doesn't belong to this financial period. We're going to put it on the debit side. So they may have paid us that amount in this particular financial period, but we know it doesn't belong to this financial period, so we didn't earn it during this financial period. We earned it in the previous financial period, which would have been accounted for in the previous financial period. So we want to remove it. So we put on the debit side accrued income 4,400 rand. So far so good. So we put income received in advance on the credit side because it's those who paid us in advance for this financial period, and then we put on the debit side money which was owed to us in the last financial period, which we may have received in this financial period, but we'll deal with that whether we received it or not shortly. Now that we have the two, what is the next thing that we're going to do? Well, we're going to ask ourselves, how much money did we receive in our bank for specifically membership fees in this particular financial period? How much would that be? Well, let's look at the information. We know it won't be anywhere here in purple because we know these are opening balances. We want money that we received in this particular financial period. But I know here, as you can see, we're told statement of receipts and payment. So where we have receipts here, I want to see how much did I receive as membership fees. And you can see I've got membership fees, and we're given three particular financial years. We are given 2022, 2023, and 2024. What do this mean? Again, it goes back to accruals. Here's what it means. It means that this amount of 3,500, which is under 2022, are for those members who owed us in the previous financial period or owed us for the services that we provided in the previous financial period and are only paying us in this financial period. In other words, how much did they owe us at the beginning of this year for last year's services? Well, they owed us 4,400. We've already dealt with that. They owed us at the beginning 4,400 for services we provided in 2022 or for membership fees that belongs to 2022. And they're only paying us right now 3,500. So you can see they're paying us 3,500 and not the full 4,400 rand. But we're going to deal with that now. So we know that they've paid 3,500 for services we provided last year. And 2023, we received 35,000 rand. So these are members who paid 35,000 rand in this particular financial year for being members in this particular financial year. That doesn't mean that we only earned 35,000 in this particular financial year. We know that may not be the case. In fact, it's not the case because we have income received in advance. Some people paid us last year for services that they're going to enjoy in this particular financial year. Some paid us this year for services they will enjoy in this year. And 2024, it's written 1,200. It means some members have paid 1,200 rand for services that will enjoy in the financial year ending 2024. So it's for next financial year. That means it's income received in advance for the following financial year. But here's what we need to do. We need to add these three amounts and put them as bank. All right. Now you will see that if you're dealing with some questions or the solutions that you will see, they will just put here bank, and they will split it into three: 2022 3,500, 2023 35,000 rand, and 2024 1,200. Or you can consolidate them, which is what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to add together the 3,500 for 2022, 35,000 rand for 2023, and 1,200 rand for 2024, and it gives me 39,700 rand. That is how much I have received in this particular financial period for membership fees. So I'm going to put 39,700 rand there on the credit side, right? Remember, what we're trying to calculate here is how much money was due to me as membership fees for this particular financial year, and we're using this to be able to determine that. Now, what do we need to do here? Remember, we're putting on the credit side the money that is for membership fees for this particular financial year, but we know that 39,700 rand, not everything belongs to this financial period, so we have to remove the one that do not belong to this financial period. Like I mentioned, you see here where it's written 2024. That's an easy one to remove because we know that's income received in advance. And so they are paying for next year in advance. So we need to remove that because that doesn't belong to money that we have earned in this particular financial period. And that is why I said accruals are very important in understanding this. So we're going to put on the debit side 28th of February 2023 and put income received in advance 1,200 Rand. Now what you're seeing here is that on the debit side we have income received in advance. On the credit side we have income received in advance. Is that not confusing? Well, it would be confusing if you don't understand accruals or if you don't pay attention to the dates next to the descriptions. So you can see the first one here is, of course, income received in advance at the 1st of March 2022, meaning it's the opening balance, those who paid us last year for this year's services. And that's why it's on the credit side, because on the credit side we want to put everything that belongs to this year. Although we put everything that we received in the bank account on the credit side, we know not everything belongs to this financial period. That's why we are debiting the 1,200 Rand that is already included in this 39,700 Rand. But we know this income received in advances for those who paid this year for next year's services that they're going to enjoy. I hope that is making sense thus far. Now that we have dealt with the 2024 amounts, the 2023 amount of 35,000 Rand is fine. But what about this 3,500 Rand for 2022? We were not supposed to receive 4,400. If you ask that question, that would be correct. We're supposed to receive 4,400 Rand. And so we are still owed. What is the difference? 4,400 minus 3,500 gives us 900 Rand. And so what is happening to that 900 Rand? How would we know what the answer is? We look at the additional information and adjustments. And so let's go through the bullet points. Consumables on hand on 28th of February. We don't care about that at this moment because we are asked to do the membership fees. Remember, we're only concerned with membership fees in this particular example, because that's what we're asked to do. Depreciation, that is not membership fees. 2/3 of the entrance fees must be allocated to income. These are entrance fees, these are not membership fees. There was no increase in membership fees. It remained at 500 Rand per member per year. Okay, that is fine. We might need that later. Membership fees outstanding for 2022. Now look at that. Membership fees outstanding for 2022 must be written off. Remember, in 2022, they owed us 4,400 for the services we provided in 2022, and in 2023 we paid 3,500 Rand. And so we calculated that and we saw that there's a balance of 900 Rand. And what are we told here? We're told that we must write it off completely. And so how are we going to write it off, and which side are we going to write it off? Well, remember here we have 1 March 2022 accrued income, meaning income that I'm owed from the previous financial period, 4,400 Rand. Now we know we didn't receive the full 4,400 Rand. How much did we receive? 3,500 Rand. Now I need to reverse the 900 Rand because I put 4,400 Rand here. So I need to reverse the 900 Rand, meaning I need to remove it and clear it out, put it as a bad debt. And what's the amount there? 900 Rand. So I'm going to put it on the credit side. So I'm going to credit membership fees written off 900 Rand. And of course, the date is 28th February 2023. That's why I didn't have to put the date here because the above date is okay. I hope that has made sense. Because I put 4,400 on the debit side, I need to reverse the balance which was not paid, which is the 900 Rand membership fees written off. Now, is that everything? Did all my members who I provided a service to in this particular financial period pay me? Well, let's keep looking at the additional information. We've already looked at the membership fees for 2022, which must be written off. Let's look at the next one. 4 members must still pay their membership fees for 2023. So there are 4 members who still owe us for 2023. So how much is that in total? Well, we know, as we were told above here, that there was no increase to the membership fees. It remains at 500 Rand per member per year. So I'm going to take the 4 times 500 Rand and it gives me 2,000 Rand. So I know that I provided a service to 4 members in 2023, but I have not paid me as yet. What do we call that? We call that accrued income. Accrued income. So what I know is that there are members who owe me for this particular financial year, yet they have not paid me. So I have to put it on the credit side as accrued income. And so there we go, accrued income, 2,000 Rand. Anything that we are missing? Well, let's read the additional information. Provide for the outstanding interest on loan. That has nothing to do with membership fees. The secretary's honorarium has not yet been paid. That has nothing to do with membership fees. Now we are done. So you can see what we needed to do here, the exercise that we needed to do in order to get at our answer. So all we need to do is basically close off the account. Now, if you looked at our lesson on the general ledger, you already know how to do this. We look at which side is the bigger side, of course, by looking at it without even calculating it. You know the credit side is the bigger side. So you calculate what the total on the credit is and put it on both sides. So we're going to put 50,100 Rand, which is the total on the credit side, on both sides. Once we've done that, we see what is missing on the debit side to make it equal the credit side. Well, we're going to take the 50,100 minus the total of the debit side, which is 4,400 plus 1,200, and that would give us income and expenditure account for 4,500 Rand. And that is it. We're done. So what does that mean? It means for this particular financial period that ended 28 February 2023, we made 44,500 Rand as membership fees. All right, that's basically what we had to do. And you can see here what's important. Data extremely important, as well as accruals, knowing when to put what and what does it mean when they owed me from the previous year, when they owed me for this particular financial year, when they paid me in advance. You need to know how to account for that. But I hope this has made sense. Now, if you want to think of this mathematically, and make sense of it, how are we going about calculating this, and how did we exactly, by putting debits and credits, know that we made 44,500 Rand? Well, let me quickly show you that. And you may wonder why we took the long route to do the T account as we are asked, when what I'm about to show you is very easy to see visually and to understand. Well, we were asked to prepare and close off the membership fees account. So you can actually do this calculation as a sanity check to make sure you were on the right track. So there are three things that we're concerned about here. Remember, what we're doing with the T account here is to figure out how much did we earn as membership fees in this particular financial period that just ended on the 28th of February 2023. The three things that we're going to look at in doing the mathematical calculation and making sense what we are asked to do here and why the T account looks the way it is in our minds is to say how many people paid me in advance, or how much was I paid in advance last year. The second thing that I want to look at is how much did I receive in this particular year in my bank account as membership fees for this particular year alone. And the third thing is how much still owe me for this particular financial year. If I have those three answers, I'm sorted. So look at this. Those who paid for this financial year in advance, right? We're looking at membership fees earned for the financial year ended 28 February 2023. So the first thing is those who paid for this financial year in advance. Well, we know that our opening balance, remember, balances at the beginning of the financial year, income received in advance, 7,500. So we know we paid 7,500 last year for services that we'll provide in this particular financial year. Second thing is how much was received for this financial year alone. Well, they did give us that amount here. Receipts we received for 2022, for 2023, and 2024. But when I answer the question, how much did we receive for this year alone? It was 35,000 Rand. That's why we put 35,000 Rand here. How much are we still owed for this financial year? Well, that's why we went to the additional information to see. We're told that 4 members must still pay their membership fees for 2023. And we were also told that the membership fee is 500 Rand for each individual. So 500 times 4 gave us 2,000 Rand here. And that gives us how much we earned as membership fees in this particular financial year, 44,500 Rand. And you can see it clearly matches what we have in our T account. I hope that makes sense in your mind why we're going through the information and through the exercise that we did. If you understand these two processes, especially the second one in conjunction with the first one, then you're able to do membership fees in any scenario, regardless of how they ask the question. Hope you have gained value from this lesson. And if you have, consider subscribing to our channel, like this video, and share it to those you think it might help. Till next time, cheers.